Hello, welcome to another design video. Being a creative person, that extends outside of just the hairstyles that I do. I like to do a little bit of cosplay as well as all my hair stuff. So if you want to see how I take this item and this item and this item and transform it into this, then keep on watching. First of all, I've got this item. I went to the thrift store and got a whole bunch of stuff because I want to create a dress. And when I was there, I saw this and I thought it looked super cute. And I got this as well while I was there. I thought it'd be cute to wear a video. But this, I almost left the store without getting what I wanted, and it's a thrift store, so it's always hit or miss. But I saw this on the rack that someone had put back at the changing station after they had finished everything, and I thought, you know what? This is just what I want. However, it's the wrong color. I also got this, which, as you can see, it's kind of ugly, but I love the sleeves. Look how they're lacy. That's just what I wanted. So the sleeves are exactly what I wanted. The star of the show, this thing, and it's kind of got like an outer layer and an inner layer. So I am going to be combining all of these items. What I'm going to be doing is starting with dyeing this one blue. These are the dyes I have. I do have a darker blue than this, but it will not dye polyester, and the top that I'm wanting to dye has a lot of polyester in it. You always need to make sure you have dyes that match, or else you can dye all you want and it will do absolutely nothing. So I'm mixing these two together to hopefully get a darker blue along with a touch of black just to darken it up. And when I say a touch, I mean just a very tiny amount. These all say to use water that's boiling on the stove or just below boiling to maintain the high temperature. However, I don't feel good about using dyes in the kitchen, so what I do is actually boil water and then add it to a pot of super hot water, and that usually works out pretty well for me when I'm re-dyeing things. Oh, and dyeing this blue will make it look less like lingerie and more like a top. While I'm waiting for the water to boil, I am then going to be cutting off the sleeves of this because I don't want the whole thing, just the sleeves. So I'm gonna try and cut it off where the seams, just above the seams. So the reason I want to cut it off just above the seams is because that will help me not to destroy the fabric. If I cut it off because it's a lacy material anywhere lower than that, then I may have issues. See, now I have it, I can see where the sleeve starts. So I will take this and just start cutting away. It's okay to leave a little bit of an edge because that may come in handy when re-sewing the sleeves later. But as you can see, then when I attach this, I can attach it right up to the shoulder of wherever I'm putting it onto. And even if I have it attached tight, my arm will be very free to move. And if I have it attached to a strap that goes a little bit lower, then it'll be all the way down and I can have it nice and airy. It's time for the next part, cutting up this monster of a guy. I don't really know how much of it I want to use, so I'm just going to start at this inside seam here and just cut this entirely off. And I'm thinking I am going to use a seam ripper for this part. I kind of want to keep the bodice intact, so that means kind of cutting it off right where it attaches. This was kind of poorly sewn on. You can see the stitch underneath, which is, you shouldn't be able to see that if it was sewed correctly. But let's see. Let me start with taking out a couple stitches here. The seam ripper is a better option if you want to keep whatever you've created intact. And maybe those aren't the stitches that I want. Let's start from here. Aha. There we go. Ah, that's pulling off. So, like I said, a seam ripper is a better option because that way I'm not cutting the material, I'm just cutting the stitches holding the material together. But in the sleeves case, I wanted to take all that material that was attached to the sleeves because I want to use that to re-sew onto my other material eventually. This dress is pretty long, which is good, and that'll help. So see how this is easily coming away? There's two ways to do seam ripping. One is to kind of like pick each individual stitch at a time, and then there's kind of like this sharp part right in the middle of the seam ripper right there, and you can just kind of go down like that and do a whole bunch of stitches at one time. So just depending on what kind of material you're working with, some of them can handle more types of seam ripping than others, and I'm doing it this way because it is quicker. Right, so I've detached the bodice pretty much the whole way on the front, and then all I have to do is cut across. Alrighty, so we're almost there. I just need to cut off the zipper. For that, I have these all-purpose scissors. Never use sewing scissors for non-fabric related items. So we've got the skirt disconnected, and there's actually, it's two skirts in one. There's like a outer material here that is connected to this like inner material. So if I can figure out, I'm not sure that they're all connected together at the same spot. This part's like really lacy, and I don't know if I want that. Yeah, I don't really want that to be connected. So I'm just gonna cut off the keeper there. Was there another keeper? There's a keeper here. And then that's just gonna allow that to flow freely because I don't want it to be so connected to the dress. So it can just kind of flow freely around. We've got this part, it's the skirt, and I kind of put it at the waist. It'll just reach the ground, and I think that'll be good. I'll just put this over top. It's gonna look crazy, but when you're sewing, this is the type of thing you have to do. So eventually, and I'll show you with the sleeves too. So the sleeves are gonna go one on one side, one on the other side, and they're gonna attach to these straps. And I know it looks silly right now, but they're gonna look cool when they're attached, okay? This skirt has to attach to this, okay? And I like that this is really nice and low because this gives me some wiggle room, because I'm actually gonna be kind of cutting this to make a bodice, and then I'm gonna be sewing into that. The highest point of this, once I have the bodice here, it will come under, and this will kind of go over like that. So it'll kind of have like this look where it's down and like the other side is down. And maybe this is kind of a little bit too complicated to explain, but you'll see it once I'm ready to cut this all out. Now I am keeping this. I have another one that's purple. Why do I keep these? Well, number one, they have these forms in them that makes them really easy. They're already sewn in. A properly made dress, you do not have to search for an undergarment for it because it should have everything built into it already, which is why I'm happy I found this. Same idea, everything's already built in, you're good. Now you've probably noticed a glaring issue, and it's that this is gold. Not that I mind mixing and matching colors, but since I've decided on a blue theme, this needs to be blue. Now, I don't want to get rid of the metallic shimmer, so what I've decided to do, and since I don't want to dye it and ruin it in the dyeing process, is take some markers. Now these ones are acrylic and they are shiny, And these ones are regular Sharpie, and these ones are, I think it's just a blue, okay? So these are all different blue pens. Obviously, just to get the blue, I had to buy the whole pack of these, but then I will have them for future projects. I am just gonna start on a small section, somewhere it's not super noticeable, like the underside of the arm. And I'm just gonna go ahead and let me start with this one and see how well it works. Do I have to turn this upside down to get the color to come out? Okay, that's not bad. That's not bad. Let's, it's still full of plastic, but we're just gonna leave this plastic on. All right, we're just gonna try a little bit on the bottom and see. Okay, well that's kind of keeping the metallic shimmer. That's not bad. That's actually really pretty. And these are fabric markers. I didn't just get any old random markers. Okay, so viable option number one. Okay. Let's get the blue. Oh, this is nice and thin. Again, when you're trying this on the back side, this is actually not going on as well as the other one did. Really kind of having to like force it on here. Okay, so Sharpie is, you don't like that one. Last one. All right. So shake, put this in, do this a couple times. Oh, it's coming. Ah, there we go. Okay, now let's try this one. Oh, this is more, well, this itself is glittery. This goes on much easier. It kind of goes on matte, but then it seems like it's kind of glittery. I don't know. I don't know if I like this one. It's easier to apply, but I'm not really getting metallic from it the way I wanted. But I like the color of it. What do y'all think? Where is this here? It's kind of hard to see. Oh. Here's this blue versus this blue. On camera though, this metallic does look a lot nicer. So I just have to go through and individually go over all of these by hand. And this is the task I've chosen for myself. So this is how I'm doing it. Hopefully my water is ready. So I think it would be kind of boring to watch me do this entire thing by hand. I don't even want to watch me do it by hand. I'm gonna put something on while I'm doing it. So we will just jump cut to when it's finished. It's always a toss-up seeing what you get when you dye polyester fabrics, because sometimes they just don't take the dye well, and like I said, I don't like stirring things in the kitchen with that dye, so I did the best that I could do. But this turned out far better than I could have imagined. Look at the back of this. It's this gorgeous slate gray with just hints of blue and lavender. And on the front side, look at this. That is way prettier than anything I could have tried to get. So it was the blue with a little bit of purple and a little bit of gray. And I had indigo blue that technically shouldn't have dyed the polyester, and it didn't really. But I think throwing that, just the last dash of that I had in, made this absolutely amazing. I mean, look at this. It's so pretty. And because it's one color on the inside and then this dark blue on the outside, number one, it doesn't look like lingerie anymore. It really has that Ren Fair vibe. But number two, it matches the blues so perfectly that I've chosen for the skirt and for the arms. So once this all goes together, it's going to be gorgeous. The next step for this guy is there are some pads in here and they keep folding up. So I just need to put a little cross stitch at either end of each one of these to make sure that they are not able to come out again. And the cross stitch will hold it in place and look pretty. Then I need to see how long the sleeves are, adjust this part accordingly, and then sew the sleeve to this section. Once that's done, then I will be cutting this into the corset shape that I want. And I know it's such a shame to cut into this beautiful lace, but I won't be cutting too far. The shape is fine, but I want it to look more Renaissance-y, or at least fantasy-ish. Sometimes when you're making outfits like these, you're not 100% pulling from reality, you're pulling from Hollywood fantasy, and so that's kind of the look that I am going for. But like I said, super pleased with how this came out, and it's gonna look very cute once I put the whole thing together. This was the next day. I actually ended up running out of the blue ink. Like, it still worked, but I didn't have enough of it to properly cover the metallic. It only really worked on paper, not fabric. But thankfully, I had acrylic metallic outdoor paint that could go on fabric and is somewhat waterproof. So I ended up painting the whole thing, and the interesting thing was I accidentally painted the insides first and then the outsides. I was only going to do the outsides and be lazy, but since I had that little mishap, I was forced to do everything. And you know what? It turned out beautifully, so happy little accidents, right? Now that the sleeves are finished, it is time to attach them to the bodice. But the best way to do that is going to be to cut the bodice open at the back and then pin everything and then sew it. The vision is coming together. It looks so, so cute. And now to complete the rest of the corset here. In order to turn this into a proper corset, I just have to do a little bit more nipping and tucking. Kind of already has a slant going down, which is good. So I have to follow that slant. And I am going to be cutting 2.5 inches up. Right here. From here to here. All right. Okay. Gonna deal with that later. I don't want to cut all the way into the seam. I think that's a good place to stop. Do the same thing on the other side. I got this nice blue ribbon from Walmart, and I'm just going to cut a little bit wider than each edge on this side. So I need 2 pieces roughly the same. This cutter is not cutting as cleanly as I want to. Has some little nicks in it, but that's okay. I have other replacement heads. Okay. So then I want to fold this evenly in half around this edge, and I can see where this is going to be an issue, so I do have to take this off. Well, between yesterday and today, I have misplaced my seam ripper, so we will just be using scissors. Do you see the vision? Do you see the vision starting to come together? As you can see, the vision is coming together. It's basically perfect. I think this turned out so much better than I thought it would. And do you see how this has some stretch? This is going to be essential to the next part of the process. So this is basically done, but we need to have some way to attach this part to that part. And this is where grommets come in, or eyelets, I should say. So this is a large eyelet kit. I'm going to need a hammer, probably, and a stone. So these are just about the right size. Turns out I combined two of the wrong ones by mistake, and I forgot to use this thing, but all's well that ends well. All right, one side done, woohoo! Time to do the other side. That is the completed garment, and you'll be able to pull this tight all the way to there if need be, or let it loose, and then of course you would just tie it. You can tie it like this, and you have your little corset, right? Here is the corset. As you can see, here's from the front, here's from the back. It's so pretty. Look at these sleeves. Ah, they're just so pretty. Now, once I put the skirt on, everything's gonna come together. And I still have to decide whether I want to hand sew the skirt or use the machine. But it has like this nice little Ren Fair flare to it instead of being straight the whole way around. And you can pull it up higher at the back so that these parts cover the shoulders, or if you want them to come down for a little bit more of that Ren Fair flare. And the way that it's adjusted at the back, the spandex means you can pull a little tighter if you need to, or you can release the straps if you need a little bit more on the side. And one of the reasons I did that is because I made this to fit me, but I also made it for a friend of mine. And so because of that, I need to make sure it was adjustable. And you have full range of motion, whether or not it's down lower, or again, like I said, if you put it up higher, you have, again, this full range of motion, so you can do what you need to do either way. And it's super, super cute. So this is the top, and now I have to figure out, how do I attach this skirt? I've been carefully pinning this dress for close to an hour now, maybe slightly less. But anyway, pinning takes a really long time. I didn't like how attached the outside was to the inner skirt. So I extended the slit that was on the one side, and then I decided to just go ahead and cut up the other side. And then I'm using the rest of the ribbon that I had left over on the one side, just to kind of give it a fun fantasy effect. So we'll see how that all looks when it is put together. I finished sewing up the sides the way that I wanted. You can see this nice ribbon here. So then I've attached this on either edge. I'm going to just go ahead and sew it. Of course, I don't think this would be very Ren Fair if we didn't have some kind of fun little decorations, so I picked these flowers up from the store. I was thinking I would hot glue gun them on, but then I was pleasantly surprised when I opened the packet to actually discover that they had little adhesives on the back of them already, which made sense because for small little decorations they were kind of expensive. I bought 2 of each type and color, which I am really glad that I did because I had enough. You never want to buy just one packet when it comes to these small little decorations because you'll always wish you had more. I decided to zhuzh up the sleeves and the side slit that I had attached the extra length of ribbon to, and I think it overall came out quite beautifully. As you can see, I did this entire outfit transformation without any pattern of any kind. I lay in bed at night thinking through each step of how I wanted to do it, and then I executed it the next day, and I'm quite happy that I was able to accomplish it so well. Here it is, the finished product. I had to switch to vertical so you could really get a good idea of how the whole thing looks. So what I had done is cut off this side, so this is detached and this is detached, but then I added this beautiful satin lining, put flowers out down the side, and then like I said, I can have this up here like this. Got that in the back. This attaches over front and it actually snaps on, so it's nice and loose and flowy. And I can have the shoulders like this and make it even more Ren Fair-esque. You can tighten it more in the back if necessary, and you can just kind of walk around like this with very, you know, fun and charming looks. Of course, you know, got some little accessories to make it really Ren Fair-like. I have my hair in an updo right now, but you know, maybe if I let down the braid a little bit, you know, it's giving more Ren Fair. I'm gonna take off these earrings. That's the outfit. I thought it was gonna take me multiple days to get this done, but 2 days. That's really exciting. And even though these are really loose, it's not gonna come off. This is very secure because of that corset at the back. So it's like this, and it's perfect. It really is. And even like this, you could just raise your arms and that just kind of puts everything back where you want it to be. A nice little princess outfit. Ren Fair ready.